Do you ever feel like you are just running out of time but still trying to create all the content?
Sleepless nights. Doing a brain dump with chat, it's become a personal library in a sense, right? Go out there and be a student. Don't go out there and just be a copycat.
What if I told you it's possible to create more content with less effort?
That front end work allows us to go ahead and be like, y'all ready to record? We got our topic. We know our system. We know the outline that we have. Let's hit the ground running.
Today, we're sharing the hacks we use to work smarter and not harder, so you can free up your time and grow your brand.
I have certain beliefs when it comes to the algorithm. There are people out there also teaching people to, hey, follow the algorithm.
I think bump the algorithm, pay attention to the audience. You need to dial in from a branding standpoint, who you are, why you're doing what you're doing, and who you're speaking to. The algorithm's always going to change. We can't control what these platforms are doing. These exact hacks helped me to grow over 20,000 followers on Instagram in just less than a month and a half. Make sure you pull out your notebook and take note, because this is full of so much useful information that you can start using right now to level up your content. All right, let's get into it.
This is Branded Like a Pro. Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to Branded Like a Pro podcast. I'm your host, Denis, and I have
Freddie Williams Jr. How you guys doing?
And
Donielle Boateng.
Well, you guys know this is a channel where we help personal brands and business brands use content towards monetization. And on today's episode, we're going to be diving into the tools and strategies that relate to content that can help you have a better system to be able to get to monetization. And I think we're going to start this conversation through Donielle, of course, because you out here got big numbers, doing your thing.
Queen monetize over here.
You know what I mean? Like you've cracked the code in a sense, right?
A code.
You've cracked a code, which I do think is important. But the code that we're talking about is something that a lot of people desire, right? Because it has turned into this thing where it's almost like a status symbol in a sense, right? But people don't necessarily know what to do with it. And I think it's very important that we have this conversation.
Yeah.
And that thing is like building your following, your content, and all that great stuff.
Yeah. I feel like first and foremost, like it starts off with having a mind shift. Like one, it's not going to be pretty all the time. And like, you don't have to do it all. You figure out the lane that you're supposed to be in. Because even for me, what took off my personal account was when I shifted. It was two things happened at one point. Is we were coming together with friends coming into partnership with business, and we did a photo shoot. And I'm not saying you have to do all the special things, but I had started my video editing hack series before that photo shoot. And it started working. I started getting like 2,000, whatever. I had less than 2,000. I had just hit 2,000 followers before my account took off. And I started that series. And what that series did for me, because when I first started it off, I tried to fit how to teach and edit in one full reel. And I'm like, wait, what clicked for me is I just need to touch on one specific topic, one specific aspect of what I do. So for me, video editing, there's a lot that goes into it. It's easier to me and it's not easier to others. So for me, I'm like, the things that might seem simple inside of my specialty of video editing, how can I break that down piece by piece to help other people? And that's what I feel like really took my stuff off. So when I said I had two things that happened at the same time, I not only did that video editing hack series, which is what one of those hacks got me over 7,500 followers.
Wow. Just
off of one reel. And it didn't even have a crazy number of views when it did that. It was around, I think it hit like just under 200,000 views on that one reel. But the thing that happened is I had multiple there. So when somebody watched that one, so before that kicked off, I had about 4 or 5 other video editing hacks already there. I think the 7th one is what kicked off. What happened, people came in, they started binge watching. So old content that I did started hitting the For You page, and people just started flooding in to where before I knew it, the first 2 weeks, I hit over 10,000 new followers. And less than a month and a half, it went up above 200,000. Not 200,000, we're on our way, but up above 20,000.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a mind shift of, this thing doesn't have to be perfect. Got little one in the shot. This thing doesn't have to be perfect. And if you come up with a very simple system, like for me, I have little ones that are with me 24/7. I had to figure out, I can't sit in front of my computer and edit anymore and do my content. How can I do this to where it's on the go? And that's where my Edit on the Go program came from. Is like, all right, how do I shoot my content? What am I using? I'm using my phone, a simple tripod that my phone connects, and a mic that is wireless, right? Those 3 components, my phone, the tripod, and the mic, is how I grew my following to over 20,000.
Let me ask you this though. So to that, right? So you're saying you found a sweet spot, right? Within the work that you were already been doing, right? So you found a sweet spot in which is like educating your audience, right? And it was just with just one hook, I guess you could say.
Video editing hack, I bet you didn't know.
Right.
And each of those had like what I call a double hook in it. It's video editing hack, I bet you didn't know, but the specific topic I'm teaching on, I hit it with another hook for after it. So for instance, video editing hack, I bet you didn't know, part 7. Here's how to edit your videos to the beat. If you want to edit your videos to the beat, do this. So I hooked people in 2 times, but even before that, I went out there and I was like, all right, let me do research behind people who are doing content. And I went to I went to different accounts that had videos that went above 100,000, 200,000, even up to 1 million views on them. And I'm like, all right, how can I hack this? I call it content hacking.
Yeah, content hacking.
How can I take this piece of content, even if it has nothing to do with my industry, and recreate it for my own?
Yeah, which is pretty much you're learning the method and applying it to your niche.
Exactly,
right?
and putting my own swing on it.
And one thing that I think is very important that you mentioned is that the content hacking side of it, right? So it's you're going to learn from other creators that are already sharing information, and you're like, I'm studying, or I want to break down why maybe this video is working. You're taking that and then trying to find the words or different things that apply to what you already do.
Yeah.
And not necessarily like taking something.
No, not taking it.
That's what any really successful brand company does. They look at the successful companies that are already out there, the Apples of the world, the Pepsis of the world, seeing what they do and applying that to your own brand, to your own niche.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just smart business. Like,
yeah. It's low-key market research.
Yeah.
No,
It's a specific type of market research.
And I would say this though, because and to our audience and everybody that's listening, what we're saying is like, go out there and be a student. Don't go out there and just be a copycat, like verbatim. That's not being creative. That's not, and you don't. And I'm not saying that you have to be creative, but eventually when you're just straight copycatting, it's going to run out. That there's no,
you don't bring any originality or anything.
Be innovative,
exactly.
Like, create something new. Obviously take inspiration from people who are doing it right. Right. But also we want your flair on it. We want to see you in it. Not
what makes you
else.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I don't want to see another Adrian Purr. I don't want to see another, Omar. Like, hey, like, they obviously do stuff well. Take inspiration from what they're doing. They wouldn't be online if they weren't wanting to inspire other creatives.
For sure.
But
That's
really
good.
what you're doing is you're working smarter by focusing on content that already has driven results, shows that it works within that specific platform's algorithm. And you're not just creating content that's going to keep you busy. You don't know, I don't know if this is going to hit or not. And every piece of content has its own purpose. Not everything is there to drive a sale. Like for me, I focused because I was creating content out of a need. I created my stuff to where it's set up on automation, to where I create this piece of content. There's a whole back-end system that when somebody comments something, it sends them a DM, a link, and that link goes to a funnel, a web page that I built out to convert them into whatever I want.
But also having that, if you didn't have that library of 4 or 5 video editing hacks, it'll just be a one-off. Exactly. Wonder, like, that was cool. But now I can go back and be like, oh, she has a whole series on it. Okay, Now let me follow. Now let me subscribe. Now let me hit those notifications. You know, like that.
Yeah.
That's important to build that library, that catalog of content. Where somebody, it may be a video, you know, number 20 that pops off that makes 1 through 19 hit. You know, so that building that library is key.
And also too, let's talk about like even the psychology within that, right? So if I go to somebody's account and I'm like, hold on, they're on part 30. I wonder what part 1 where they started. What was that? Like, I'd want to do more digging.
Creates fear of missing out. Immediately, like, oh shoot, hold on.
What else can I get from this?
It's like me starting a series on, you know, a TV show, and it's like, yo, I walk in and somebody's on, you know, episode 6. I'm like, yo, this is good. All right, I gotta, don't show me anything else. I gotta go back to 1.
I need to start from the pilot.
And two, I think one of the big things too, from a mindset standpoint, is don't compare yourself. You're your own individual person. Yes, this person that's out here doing content and their content's hitting every time and the numbers are showing it. If you go back through most of the time, so when I was out doing my own market research and seeing who's done what already, most of the people that blew up, you can see a definitive change in what their content looks like. Sometimes their quality bumps up high, sometimes it drops down. So it's like, don't think you have to aspire to be at this specific level of the creator that you might try to get inspiration from.
And also too, I would say it's not smart to just see somebody's content just one time where they're at now and trying to duplicate that without even doing the homework to see like what was their journey, how did they start, where were they at, because that can give you a bigger picture and inspiration for where you can start as well.
Absolutely. It makes exactly where you're at like, oh, I'm okay. Like, I don't have all of this, but you know, Marquez Brownlee had, he's okay. I feel better about where I am, because you can get immediately intimidated by this big production where it's like, jeez. I mean, look at Mr. Beast, like his early videos were
like, his YouTube didn't take off until he was like, I think they said 440 or 450 videos in. It took time. Your stuff is not going to pop off all the time right away. Yes, there's those outliers when you actually dial in, but.
Well, I'll say this then. I think that people fall into the myth of like, well, is it a myth really? Well, you guys can disagree with me, but of the whole working harder, right? I think yes.
I don't want to work harder. I want to work smarter.
But so okay, cool. So do you guys believe in the work harder or work smarter? Don't work harder?
There's a difference between working harder and consistency.
Okay.
And discipline. Like some people who aren't disciplined, who aren't consistent, will consider that working. I'm working way too hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And two, I feel like at the beginning, it's going to feel like you're working harder because it might be something new that you're getting into. Even for me with my video editing hacks, I was like, yo, I'm editing these all from my phone because I'm teaching you how to edit from your phone. So I'm proving the system. And then I was like, oh shoot, because I do very like in-depth edits. Like I do a lot of stuff on my edits. And I was like, yo, how can I make this system better to where I'm not spending as much time? So for me, I made a template inside of my CapCut of my video editing hack. So every time I start a new video editing hack, I copy and paste that template and I replace the video to where it's already there.
Also, too,
that's good.
Having a system that eventually gets you to where you can just autopilot. Now, that hard work may be on the front end. Like I know with us, with planning our podcast and the things that we want to talk about, we spend hours, days. I mean, honestly, this is months in the making, if not years in the making. Like that front end work allows us to go ahead and be like, yo, y'all ready to record? Okay, we got our topic, we know our system, we know the outline that we have. Let's hit the ground running to where we don't have to constantly create a new system every time we want.
Exactly. So then, okay, so that brings me to the discovery here, saying that working harder leads to working smarter. Right? So you got to put in the work to be able to figure out the formula, the systems and everything that can then help you flow the way that to someone else may look like, oh, shoot, like I want to do that. Because I think people really are inspired by work that seems like easy to us, right? So the reason why we love Adrian is because it looks so dope, but he's moving within his niche, within his purpose so easily. It seems so seamless to him.
His system is well oiled, is a well oiled
machine, yeah.
And he has it down to the hour, to the minute, and how he goes about to avoid burnout, to edit efficiently, he has it all figured out.
The one thing that he does say in his stuff is and he said it on his YouTube channel, is he showed the behind the scenes of shooting in one day. He be wore out.
Yeah. He puts
his
in work.
Shoots,
yeah.
Him going out and about, it's not that content is not work, but there are systems behind it. I kind of want to segue into the systems you use, and not necessarily the editing apps, but the physical things that you rinse and repeat over time. So for myself, what happened from that photo shoot is I was like, all right, one morning I woke up early and I went out and I batch recorded a whole bunch of hooks.
Yeah.
I don't know what's coming behind those hooks. So what I did is I went around in an Airbnb to different spots in there, inside, outside, all over the place. It was video editing hack, I bet you didn't know, part 4. Video editing hack, I bet you didn't know, part 5. Go to another spot and I'm like, here's the top 3 sound effects I use for my videos.
Yeah.
Just doing stuff off the top of my head. Think about if I had prepared. So just going off the top of my head and shooting only the hooks, I was able to get a month's worth of content in literally a 40-minute shoot. I looked at the timestamp of when I started recording to the very last one. It was literally 40 minutes. And so what that gave me is a start to all of my content, and it's the beginning of my system.
Yeah.
It's the beginning of my old system. My new system is, hey, I have those hooks already thought out. I have the ideas of what I want to do. All right, let me go out, batch record them. But what I did on top of it is what I wore was important. I had a t-shirt on. I had a crew neck that I put on top of the t-shirt, and I had a jean jacket that I wore on top. What I do for when I'm batching up hooks is I'll say I batch up hooks and my call to actions, which are at the back end. And I teach all of this in my Edit on the Go program. It's called my HCS method. I record my hook. The next piece of it is your story. That's the meat of whatever you're teaching. So for me, for my video editing hacks, it's my the tutorial, me actually showing you how to do that thing to edit. And then the last thing is the call to action. Call to action doesn't always have to take you to something that's going to sell. It can take and it can give something to someone free, or all of my video editing hacks end up being, be sure to follow and save this video for later.
Let me interject real quick, because even with you saying okay, now you have a whole setup of how you go about the systems that you're talking about. What do you think about someone, what do you think is better? Someone who is creating to then figure out a method, or somebody without a method, but is talking about something that everybody needs? You understand the question that I'm asking?
Yeah, I think you develop your method as you go along. You can someone can teach you their method. Yeah. You're going to have some caveats because not everybody's thing works for you. So as you jump, it's good to have a method to start off in, and then you start saying, oh, this works for me. Oh, this doesn't. I want to shift to this. I want to shift to that.
Because there's people who are kind of rebellious with their content, right? Because they're like, yo, bump it. I don't care about the systems. I don't care. I just want to freely just create. I used to think like that too, because I'm like, yo, bump the methods.
I know, I just rolled my eyes.
I know. But I
had me banging my head against the wall.
I've come to also understand. So there's moments to create freely.
Exactly.
Yes, you have to create freely.
You need those rebel moments just to I'm just going to do what I feel. That's the beauty of art. That's the beauty of creating, where it's there's no boundaries. There's no, hey, I just want to do this. It doesn't make sense, but I just want to do it.
Yeah. And this is the thing.
Because you may discover something new in it.
When you do stuff like that, you got to be prepared no matter what the numbers look like. So for me, my content's taken a shift lately because I'm shifting how I'm doing content. We're shifting to YouTube being the main focus. Everything flows down from YouTube. We repurpose from YouTube. So a lot of my reels that are going out now is literally the intro hook from my YouTube video that after I finish editing my whole YouTube video, I repurpose it down into a vertical format. Yeah. So for me, my content is shifting, and I know purposefully it might not do the same numbers as the stuff that I know works, but I'm I'm building it out this way because for the long haul, I want YouTube to be that home for everything because you can build, grow, and monetize easier from there.
Okay. So then this leads me to another question then. What about people who are only creating for the algorithm compared to creating to disrupt or create your own algorithm? Because I have certain beliefs when it comes to the algorithm, and there are people out there also teaching people to, hey, follow the algorithm. What would
my advice?
Y'all think about?
I think bump the algorithm, pay attention to the audience. You need to dial in from a branding standpoint who you are, why you're doing what you're doing, and who you're speaking to. Once you start speaking specifically to that person, the algorithm's always going to change. We can't control what these platforms are doing. I can control how I'm talking to this audience, how I'm staying consistent to speaking to them, and how I'm pulling them off of this platform. Because if this platform goes away, I still need an audience to talk to. So that's why, for me, automating my content, even if I'm just giving you something free, I'm getting you to my email list so I can have continued conversation to where IG's down for a day, TikTok goes away, I can still talk to you.
And the algorithm, really, if we really think about it, the algorithm does not exist without audiences. And what it does, it literally molds to our they study our traits. They study how we move, what we're watching, how long we're watching it. And then what they try to do when the algorithm becomes big enough in tracking what we do, then they're like, hold on, can we disrupt these audiences and see if they'll move where we're moving?
And the big piece behind it is money.
Of course.
They want you to spend money on their platform for your content to be seen. So even if something worked at one point and it doesn't anymore, yes, you can make shifts, or you can just continue being consistent because the algorithm is going to change. I can't control what they're doing. I can control how I react from a mental standpoint because, it can mess you up, you focusing in on the numbers too much. Like even for myself, my account took off. I wasn't doing any classes or anything at that point. Well, I had stopped my classes, and then I was like, all right, but I took a little break while I was having all that momentum, and I shouldn't have. I took that break. I came back after I built out the back-end system of what I wanted to sell, and my numbers weren't hitting the way they were on content that I knew would work. But what happened, it wasn't just I went away. IG's algorithm went through a switch up earlier last year. And I was so discouraged and hurt because I was like, dang, we're in a tough season. If you listen on our next episode, you hear the background of what my husband and I went through. And I was like, man, I thought this was going to hit, and I thought I was going to have more sales and get more people and it be our breakthrough. But it's one of those things of trial and error. But with your content, stay consistent. Even if it's just, I have 3 different types of pieces of content that I put out there. Call it a type 1, type 2, type 3. Type 1 is the most simple. You literally record yourself either walking into the shot, looking at the camera, pointing up, or something like that. And you literally put music behind it. I do what's called a little bit of keyframing inside of CapCut, which we'll teach on later. And I add text, a very strong hook at the top of it. The rest of it has the story down in the caption. So I can spend 10, 15 minutes creating a very quick reel that serves a purpose to keep getting content out there. And then my video editing hacks, I don't have to do those every day. I can spend the extra time that's needed to edit those videos later on.
Well, I'll say this then also too, is my last thing on algorithm. Like, here's the thing that I've learned too is if you haven't built a system to build content that's consistent, which is what you're speaking to, like batching, getting your stuff, and like, if you ain't watching my stuff, I'll go rhythm somewhere else. Okay. because it's like, you have to create for your audience. You know what I mean? So
it's not about you.
If your audience, if you're not reaching the audience, or maybe you need to pivot, maybe you need to start like
looking at things different. You need to, and I broke this down in a video, and we'll link it here as well, on how to grow on social media. It's not focusing on you. It's not about you. People come either for entertainment, come to get some type of help, or just to escape. period.
But I'll even say this though, like I have to admit that even me personally, somebody who helps people like with building personal brands or designing or talking about branding and podcasts and all that great stuff, I've struggled with building content on a regular, especially because I've come from being on podcasts and things that either being chopped up for me or like literally, for the longest is like stuff is already chopped up for me. So then all I have to think about is maybe the caption or what I want to post this week, right? But being in front of a camera, right, having conversations and then picking up my phone and recording or thinking it's different.
Different process.
You know what I mean?
It's completely different, but it's one of those things, and it's that next topic we want to talk about is knowing the right tools that work for you. Not the tools that I use might not work for everybody. So for me, I started editing in Final Cut Pro. Not everybody has a Mac. Not everybody can edit inside of there. But a way that's helped other people and even myself with my content taking off is bringing everything into my phone and editing through CapCut. Like you have to remove as many barriers as you can. So whatever platform works best for you, you as a graphic designer, doing your content really quick in Canva and showing the behind the scenes, which it's a platform that more users could be on versus you working in Illustrator or Photoshop.
Which I do struggle with that a little bit in a sense. And it's not necessarily about what people think.
Yeah.
It's just, well, I guess it can be a little bit because
feeling validated as a designer.
Yes, but also I do design, like I love Illustrator. You know how I feel about Illustrator.
But which platform do you work faster in?
The fastest, yes, I would say Canva, right? Yep. But that's after I've designed all the assets that I need to maybe, especially if
from a branding standpoint, you don't do it in there. Yeah.
Like if I need to like create something like different, I don't know, like a flyer, or I need to create like a YouTube banner for someone or something. Yeah. I've already branded everything for you, right?
Yeah. So now you can bring it into something like this.
And everything.
But it goes straight to the point that I was just making. Having those tools that save you time and energy. Now that you've developed the brand for either yourself or a client, those assets, which you should not be making your logo in Canva. Absolutely not.
You don't.
You can't.
And also too, I will say this too. When I'm doing things in Canva too, it's because I have the client in mind.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, because what system could they use that's like seamless in a sense, right? That they could easily go, because if I pass them all these whatever and like is only Illustrated, they're
not going to be able to do anything.
They're not going to be able to. It's like you shooting something or shooting a raw video and by the way, go edit they're going to be lost.
And the speed of it is, think about it this way. Even it happens for me with Final Cut Pro. If I want to add B-roll, so a video or a photo on top of something, I got to go out of the platform, go to Google, search, or download something from YouTube, put it in my folder, and then pull it into the platform. What Canva or even CapCut does, everything is right there. You need a specific asset, I can search base it. So that's automatically saving you so much time. So
that's true.
The whole and you're starting to see it in those desktop apps where you have integration into an Artlist, integration from those other platforms where you're getting assets. You're starting to see even the desktop apps taking, those hints from the CapCuts, from those apps on your phone, man. So it's happening on a large scale.
And you know what's happening even deeper now on a whole nother? Everything is getting AI. So it's going bananas. You barely have to leave anything to do anything now.
Integrated right natively into those.
I mean, bro, it's just like, what was last year? Like we sat down, you were like, yo, you seen what Photoshop? Like we were playing with Photoshop, just like moving the backgrounds or adding certain things. And it was just like, yo.
Taking a 2D object and moving it in a 3D space.
It's crazy.
That's insane, man.
That's wild. Yeah. Like, and so okay. So what we're saying is this: forget what everybody's saying.
Forget what everybody's saying, but we saying something.
No, not us. I'm just saying. I'm talking about I feel like when people say they're talking about like the negative Nancy's, the people who trying to shut your ideas down and all that. we're saying is like, forget what they are saying, and instead work hard to be able to work smarter. And that means like, hey, have system in place, and also tools that can help you work faster
and go get the learning to help you work in those tools faster.
Exactly. And I was going to talk about that too. Getting in the things that allow you to work smarter, faster, and not harder, is getting in those communities, is getting coaching. Somebody, I forget who it was, but they said that coaching and communities are like a time machine.
That's good.
Right? That's facts.
Where you can fast track a task. Instead of spending 6 months on it, you spend 6 minutes on it.
Exactly. I see that exact thing. Even so, there's 2 points. I see that exact thing. Is one, when we stepped into entrepreneurship, those first 2 years of us investing coaching programs and stuff, once we got all them 2 years, people were like, how do you know how to do this? Where do you know this from? What do you know? Like it put us leaps and bounds ahead of people. But even for me, last week, I was launching off another editing class, and I'm sitting there like struggling through my funnel, second guessing what I'm putting on the page, what I'm doing, what with my design. Got on with my friend on the phone, and just her being there as support and us talking together, I got that thing done in a day, less than a day. And literally that night, I had my entire funnel up, ready to sell tickets the next day into an editing class.
Okay, so let's do some key giveaways right now then. Like if we're talking about tools and speed and all that, what are some of the tools let's share some of the tools that we are using right now, even within our businesses or with our clients, that are helping us keep us efficient, to serve our clients, or even to be able, like for ourselves with Bread Like a Pro.
Yeah.
For me, off the top, and there's a lot of tools that I use, from software to hardware to equipment and stuff like that. But one thing that stands out, I just got the DJI Pocket 3, and that thing is a game. I'm a stickler for just good quality content, shooting great quality content, good sound,
simple,
and the DJI, it's just a thing that fits right in your pocket, but like, having the DJI Pocket 3, this thing is on a gimbal, right? Fits right in my pocket. I can go ahead and just record something on the fly. I can attach my DJI Mic 2 to it. It automatically connects.
Can easily flip it forward and backwards.
I can switch it from landscape to portrait.
Come on.
Yep. And even the camera turning on you.
And then go from the camera turning on me, right? I got to stop the recording to switch it to the portrait, but the camera turning on me to where it's portrait now, right? And I'm doing the selfie. So I can talk directly to it instead of using my phone. Now I have something that stabilizes my footage. It connects to my DJI mic.
Yeah.
It's in my pocket, and it's good, and it's great quality.
And it can connect to your phone. Not only wirelessly, but you can take the footage directly from there, plug it to your phone, and download it to your phone.
I can literally monitor what's being seen in here on my phone. So I have a bigger display to make sure that I'm in focus, to make sure that everything is exposed correctly. Yeah. This thing has literally changed the game for me, man. Yeah. Oh yeah, and by the way, there's a link in the description to grab this, man. Make sure you check that out, for real.
I concur with everything you said. That joint is life-changing. Like, even just going out on a walk, like with the kids and stuff like that, and just being able to just pull the bad boy out and just like record, and just, it is crazy. I think it's super dope.
Now, for those that might not have the budget for it, because at the time of recording this, I think it's
it's like $519 before tax.
Those that don't have that budget to do that, your alternative, it's the thing you take with you everywhere.
Yeah.
I know mine is jacked up. Don't judge
we need
me.
to get you
a new one's coming. But I didn't mean to show that part. But I literally just take my phone and this tripod right here. This isn't the head that comes on it. If you want, there's a guide down below on this exact setup that I'm going to put together. It's called Create on the Go. So literally I attach this to it, and it magnets straight to my phone. So what this does, instead of having one that has a whole bunch of dials that you have to put on and put off, quick access to where I can move on the go. And then all you need, so this gives stabilization, great video. Always use the back camera on your camera. If you have a Apple Watch, You can attach your Apple Watch around it to where it gives you a view of yourself if you don't like not being able to see yourself. We'll put some links down in the description to other options that you can put on the back to be able to monitor and see yourself. But your camera on the back here is so much better than the camera on the front. And the last component, audio, is great audio. And it doesn't have to be something expensive. Even a $50 mic can elevate your video so much higher. So for me, I invested in this Hollyland Lark M2 mic. I love it because it's lightweight. They're really small. I don't like, Freddie's not going to like me for this, but I personally don't like the DJI because it's big and bulky, especially as a female. Having this, being able to easily clip it on myself and be on the go. They even have a thing where you can cover up the logo of the company. And it's perfect because I can put these three things. Look, even the little one knows what's to do with the mic. I can put these three things in anything and take them anywhere. So I love this because as a content creator, being able to be mobile, being able to work fast, being able to pull out, I got an idea right off the top of my head, pull my phone out and be able to record it right on spot. This thing has been a game changer. And I love this tripod because it's 62 inches tall. So for me, this thing is just as tall as I am, if not just a little bit taller. So absolutely love this. So that's what I do to keep my stuff simple. And then I bundle that in with using CapCut to bring my edits to another level.
Yeah. And what I do is I just design. But nah, I mean, for me and my process, which y'all even like getting like down to like actually even doing a like key giveaway, like telling people, hey, these are the things that we are using to make our content for either our clients or ourselves, like top echelon, like, or seamless. I think that's super important.
Yeah.
Like for somebody like myself who is sitting at my desk and designing for people or doing research, I mean, of course, is my conversations or the branding roadmap that I'm using to sit down with a client to find out more about who they are, where they want to go, and dig in deep into their identity helps out a lot. So I think the conversation of identity helps out. Of course, mood boarding helps out a lot too. So even if you don't yet have hired like a designer for your brand or anything, I think it's very important to create a mood board.
Where do you create yours?
Pinterest.
Yeah.
I know that there's other apps or other websites out there, but for me personally, like for the longest, Pinterest has been the go-to.
Yep. This man has been using Pinterest for years.
Yeah, it helps out a whole lot.
Yeah.
It helps out. And I am going to try out other ones just to see how they compare, but Pinterest is my go-to. So Pinterest, y'all hit me up.
I feel like Pinterest attached along with Milanote.
Yeah, Milanote is another go. Milanote is a go, I think, for all of us, just also from an organization standpoint.
Yeah.
Milanote is super duper dope.
Yeah. Another one I use, I like Shot Deck. So it gives me some inspiration as far as how camera angles, different looks, color grades and stuff like that. It gives me some inspiration on it. So say if I'm going on a shoot and I'm going to maybe try something out, I'll go there. But yeah, you can find inspiration all over the place.
And I think one of the big things is making sure that when you're planning out your content, that you have somewhere to house it.
Yeah.
Whether it's a project managing tool or even as simple as the notes on your phone, that notes app on your phone. So for me, when my stuff took off, I literally had all of my captions that I use in all my videos in one note so that I could quickly copy and paste one call to action to another one, or I can search through that entire document and look back as like, oh, I can restate this way, or I can do this way. Having that, we've used Monday before, but there is a subscription cost with that. The free one that we have broken into for Brand It Like a Pro is Notion. Notion is hard slept on by content creators.
Legit, for sure.
Yeah,
Notion's a full-blown project manager. It's everything.
Yeah, Notion's
it's everything.
Good. Notion is really good. That's probably like the first one that I'm like, I actually go into it.
Yeah.
Because anytime that we've had any other ones, I'm like, don't want nothing to do with it. And then of course you get frustrated with me. I'm like, if it ain't on the calendar, I ain't, you know what I mean?
It don't exist.
It don't exist, right? So, but Notion has been like, oh, I actually want to tap in just because it just it's a little bit more raw.
Yeah.
Right. There's less of like trying to navigate and everything. Everything is there. So Notion's good.
Now, and let us know if you guys want to see a behind the scenes look into our Notion on how we manage our YouTube content and everything. I know we're going to be sharing a lot of that inside of Brand It Like a Pro Academy as well. There's a link down in the description where you'll get access to us every week to be able to get content help, get help with your brand, get help from even monetizing your content, learning what type of products that you can do specifically to your brand, how to shoot stuff better, everything.
So also too, one that I've become a believer into, it's hard. It was hard for a while. Is Envato.
Y'all have been using Envato for years, and I kept trying to tell this man templates are the way.
Yeah, so I was hard, like, you know, but Envato's dope.
Yeah. Envato has everything for creators.
Yeah.
Now, there's some things I don't use on it. I use other things, but the biggest thing for me is video editor. Grab a lot of my B-roll out of there. They have a really good library of B-roll. They have stock footage. They have graphic templates for pretty much any graphic design software.
If you're doing like mock-ups and stuff like that,
poster templates,
content templates,
mock-ups,
product mock-ups.
Yeah.
They even have sound effects. That's the only thing music-wise that I'll use their sound effects.
Who do we use for music? Artlist.
Okay.
Artlist. Epidemic Sound has some.
Yeah.
I find it easier to search on Epidemic.
For sure.
Yeah.
I want y'all. I want the people like listening to this podcast. Like, if you guys have any like systems or different software that you're using, I want y'all to, you know, comment down below, because we're actually gonna test them. We're gonna check them out, especially for music. Or let us know which one you like better, Artlist or Epidemic. Like, you know, let us know for
Music
sure.
Bet had me for a minute.
Music Bet subscription was
they was taxing.
It was like $99 a month.
Bro, they was acting like Timbaland was producing those beats.
They was beating you over the head for the stuff.
My gosh,
so good though.
It was dope.
But they've come down on their subscription now. Yeah. I think they have more of a reasonable one. Yeah. There's a new one called Audio. I ain't gonna lie, I was trying to get a brand deal.
And it's a lifetime too.
What is?
I think does Audio have the lifetime subscription too?
What?
No,
where you pay once?
No. I don't know.
I
was on a monthly.
I forget what it is. There's one that has a lifetime subscription, where it's like, I think maybe $200, maybe a little bit less. But I gotta check that out.
Yeah, but just the pro with using these, especially when it comes to music inside of your videos, you don't have to worry about any licensing issues. If you ever have a copyright issue, you can get the license directly off of the site and submit it to like a YouTube or wherever you get the copyright strike from, and it'll get removed.
Yeah. There's another one out there too, where it has mainstream music that you can license, like some mainstream stuff that's on top 40.
Really?
Forget what it's called, but yeah.
But Audio,
that may be coming again with the collaboration, and music industry may come into play to where they're gonna start offering that up.
One thing that's dope with Audio. So you ever listen to a song, or if you want a mainstream song that you want to be able to use in your video, but you can't use it because of copyright or licensing issues, Audio has this AI. I think it's audio.com. We'll put a link down in the description. I might be wrong, but we'll put a link down below. Audio, they allow you they mimic whatever song that you read to it. Yeah, so you can find stuff that's now licensed that you can use freely in your content that has the feel of whoever it is or whatever song that you're looking for.
That's pretty dope. I like that.
Yeah.
What if? And this is just how my brain works.
Now go ahead.
Let's go down this rabbit hole, right? So when you're covering a song or you replicate a song, like say with a live band or something like that, that's royalty free. So you can, is it? I could be wrong.
I don't think so. I think a lot of it falls into fair use. So it's a huge gray area. So to be on the safe side, just get licensed music through these different sites.
I might be a loophole.
I know you love going out there and pulling stuff directly off of YouTube. I'm like, I'm staying safe.
I'm not pulling anything off of YouTube. Don't even throw me on the bus.
You gotta play you.
Yeah, I'm saying if you have the musical expertise to just recreate something with your own instrumentation.
Oh yeah.
No, that's not what I was talking about.
And then use that as
for your.
It could
background.
be a mainstream song, but you're recreating it.
Yeah.
Just I feel like it's still gray
or something like that. Be able to. But I've been seeing lately, and I've seen people in comments asking with some of these YouTubers like that are like doing daily vlogs. They're using actual like mainstream music, and people don't know how they're getting away with it. And I'm wondering if it will.
You put yourself at risk.
But these are big accounts, though. Of course, it's like accounts with bigger followings that are. I've noticed as of lately, there's more big accounts that are doing it.
If you're on YouTube, for instance, you can do stuff like that. But if you're monetized, your video will become demonetized. You can't monetize that specific video.
So one thing too that we should also talk about is the repurposing content, right? So I don't know if this also relates to the whole content hacking, but that's one thing
it's a form of content. It's an element of content hacking.
So that's one thing that I felt like has helped me feel a little bit more confident in a sense of like I have an idea, and there's certain videos out there that I like.
Yep.
That maybe I might want to relate this message in the style that this person is doing it because it still relates to who I am.
Yeah.
Right. So I guess that's a way that I kind of relate these two things. And then I sit down, do the research, I take notes. I have ChatGPT also helping me. But here's the thing too, that with ChatGPT that I must say, please do not just copy and paste. That is so tacky. Do not do that. You have to train the AI to understand your brand and your voice for things that you're typing in, the prompts and everything for them to make sense. So.
Yeah. Even feeding in the smallest detail for it.
Facts.
But even from a repurposing standpoint, like I had shared earlier, we're flowing from YouTube down to all the other platforms of whatever we choose. Right now, the main focus is YouTube and Instagram. So if I'm doing a YouTube video, while I am shooting the video, I'm keeping in mind, hey, I know I'm going to take certain little nuggets and points out of this video. Let me go ahead and record my call to action or my specific hook that I want to use on the YouTube or on the Instagram video that might not be inside of the YouTube video, because every platform has its own language. I'm not going to go on IG and say, be sure to subscribe unless I'm talking about you subscribing to my paid membership. And on YouTube, I'm not going to say, hey, be sure to follow me. I'm going to say, be sure to subscribe, which, by the way, make sure you subscribe to this channel.
Facts.
But that's one method of repurposing. Another one I wanted to talk about, because Freddie mentioned comments. What I personally did, and it's another piece of not only repurposing, but content hacking, is once my account took off and I started getting comments from other people on specific things of what they were looking for, I also started doing purposeful videos of not only celebrating those milestones, but I was doing giveaways. And in that giveaway, I would tell them, hey, if you want to enter in for this program or do this thing, I would give them one of the criteria for them entering, not only following me, but making sure you comment down below what you're having issues with or what you need help with, because now I'm taking their exact words. I take those comments and I repurpose them into hooks. And I show specifically in my Edit on the Go program how exactly I content hack and take somebody's content, somebody's comment, and turn it into a post. But there's so many different ways. Even with some of our YouTube videos, we not only do reels and shorts, but we take those same reels and shorts and we repurpose them into carousels.
Yeah. I wanted to ask Freddie a question about like when you're shooting, right? Because for someone like you, pretty much like content doesn't exist without, someone who's like, bro, you've been shooting, you know how to tell the stories. These are all elements that need to happen. So, right, how do you tell or teach someone how to plan their content that can connect to their audience, right? From a visual standpoint, angles, or even if you're doing it from your phone too.
Off the top, good audio, good lighting.
Yeah.
The video is honestly third on that list, to be honest.
Agreed.
As long as your audio is audio is number one.
Yeah.
Your lighting is number two. The video can come third. Like you can get away with different, film grain, black and white. Like there's ways to mask subpar video. Another thing too, honestly, is if you can edit your own stuff, when you're editing, it makes you shoot better content because you're not only shooting the content, but you're thinking as an editor, how can this work? Break up those, how does me taking one line and then taking another line that I've delivered in another, clip, piecing those together. When you go out and shoot, you're like, oh, I don't have to knock out this complete thought in one shot.
And you said a word there. You said a line, but for people that might not be caveat to filming and production, literally think of your content in single sentences, and that will help you so much, even from breaking it up and being able to edit
grammatically. If there's a comma between a thought, you can literally cut that and deliver it somewhere else, but making sure that your tone makes sense. From a tone space is consistent. Like you're normally talking with somebody, your inflections, how you talk. And once you get it into an editing platform, you start seeing it, you then become a better shooter.
And I would even add to that too, that a lot of it has to do with branding and being clear. So when you understand who you're speaking to, the voice of your brand, personal or your business brand, and also the tone, that eases everything out because you already know, okay, I need to deliver this in a motivational stance, or I need to be more nurturing, or in the case of somebody like Gary V is just very in your face, don't care, I'm me. There's so many different ways that people communicate. So you understand who you are and what your audience expects of you and communicate in that manner. That makes your content that much better.
And I think too, for you, that point on branding, because we say it all the time in our episodes, our videos, branding isn't just your logo.
It's not.
Everything that you just talked about is branding. Even in video editing, I don't just brand visually. I brand even from the sound. I use the same consistent sound effects and everything in my video to make sure that everything stays level across the board. And I do that because I have my own sound effects starter pack that I load directly into my phone. Everything is simply organized. If you guys want it, there's a link down in the description. It's free to grab. But it makes it so much easier because the stuff is organized. But I'm developing what my brand is, what my tone is, what my voice, who I am. Your brand is you as a person. You have a brand if you don't even realize you have a brand.
And also too, one thing that you're mentioning too is that I think is very important is the research of knowing what your audience wants. That is so important. I've learned over the years in just being in front of a camera or producing, when I was producing shows at CBS Sports or ESPN, is these people that I'm producing for, they know exactly what their audience want to hear. Certain audiences in certain cities, they know people want to hear about LeBron. Or other cities are these people don't care about LeBron. We live in a city that does not like LeBron. We're not going to be talking about him. We're going to be talking about football instead. You have to know what your audience wants and needs and what they respond to.
And if you don't know, ask them. And if you don't feel like you have a big enough audience to ask, go to someone else's audience, go into their comments, even poll people on your IG stories, ask people what they need or what they need help with, or even ask them, hey, do you struggle with this one specific thing? Because you getting that feedback can help rocket off whatever you are trying to launch next. It could be something free. It could be something paid. So
Also, just to go a little bit deeper with your question too, another way to just level up your content is think of your content in a movie sense. And I always go back to media, right? So in movies, you have a protagonist, you have their backstory, you have a climax or a problem that needs to be solved, and then you have a resolve, how the story ends, right? The protagonist and their backstory is you or your product, and then your library of footage that you have. That's your backstory. That's how people become invested with you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know the main character's backstory.
Yep.
You're rooting for that person. I know where they came from. I know what they're doing.
You can relate with them.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah,
and
that's
so
good.
and in the middle, right, the problem that needs to be solved, or the climax, is what you solve as an entrepreneur, as a business. Hey, I help people build their brands, right? Yeah. That's that problem that you're introducing. And then the resolve is like, I can show you how to do A, B, and C, comment the word, boom. So think of it in a movie standpoint like that, right? The product, right? The problem that you solve.
Yep.
And then your call to action.
I think that is so good, because I remember even doing like somewhat of a case study, like just breaking down the brand of Batman, right? So Batman is not going to be anyone else other than who he is, right? He's not going to be anyone else other than who he is. Batman is the extension of Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
Batman became Batman because Bruce Wayne has some pain that needed to be resolved. So he's not anyone else outside of Bruce Wayne, really, right? Yeah. It's an extension. He knows the problem that he needs to solve in Gotham. He knows the problems in Gotham, and he's delivering those all the time. Yes, I am a nerd, okay? When it comes to Batman, there you go. Batman, James Bond, they got me.
One thing to what Freddie was saying too, and you as well, about like solving a problem. Yes, from a business standpoint, you're solving problems, but you're also creating new problems that you have to solve for your audience as well. So like keeping that in mind, like it's an iteration, it's a loop of like testing, going out and seeing what people want, testing it, trying in this format, trying in that format, and then seeing what works best for you.
And most of the problems is always the how. That is the main problem. Yeah. The problem isn't the what or the why. The problem is always the how.
And simplifying
people want to figure out how to do something. So that's a gem there.
And for us, it's figuring out how to teach that how in the most simple way to where even a 5th grader can learn how to do it. Yeah. We know complex topics, and you that are in your own specialty, in your own lane, whatever your industry and your niche or whatever it is you want to call it is, you're that specialist in that area. If you think so or you not. Yeah. You know your information more than someone else knows that specific information. You just have to learn how to
just come at the ground level.
You have to go back to the basics, the ABCs of the thing, and teach that next person so they can learn. That's one of my biggest things that's challenged me as a creative, because my brain, I'm an engineer. Yeah. I think at a very complex, higher level. So the way I explain stuff can be too high and too complex. And I'm like, all right, Donielle, you got to draw it back. You're giving too much in one point. Draw it back so that someone else who's not a specialist in this can understand it.
Yeah. No, that's really good points. You're about to say something, bro.
It's tough to do that, man, because it's like, yo, how do I really not think on this level? How do I simplify even my thoughts? That's not easy. I have trouble doing that because I'm so cerebral. I'm always thinking of like, but how do I simplify it to where somebody else can digest it, right, and consume it. Another thing too is I always run into the issue like, yo, what I do naturally, like, I don't see it as a big thing. I'm like, no, this is like, it just comes natural for me to break down an editing platform. It's like, that's boring. Yeah. For somebody else, it may be like, yo, that's what I need. Best thing since sliced bread, bro. Yeah. Like, I want to learn that. And me realizing like, oh, people, like, I am an expert in this. And like, even me breaking down the mundane, the easy stuff, the simple stuff is gold to other people.
And you know, a solution that we can give to people right now, if you don't know how to break it down into that 5th grader or that like most base level, take what you do, have a conversation. Like, you can even speak it out. You can transcribe it through text on your phone, in a transcriber, anything. Talk out what you do, what you want to teach, and then take that information of everything you just said, copy and paste it into a chat prompt in ChatGPT, and say, hey, this is what I do. This is what I teach. Can you help me simple this down to where a 5th grader could understand it, where a 5-year-old can understand it.
Yep. And then second level of that, hey, chat, what are some other questions that you have to help me
like better understand
like chat, what questions do you have to give me a better output what you just gave me?
Yes.
Then I'll ask you more questions. You then answer those questions.
Yeah.
Man, sometimes honestly with chat, I'll just do a voice memo and I'll just talk to chat. My thoughts may be fractured and maybe all over the place. I may jump from one point to one point, but as long as it's getting that information, it can really help you out.
You can even take what you just described, and we'll actually show it in our next episode where we help you build out a brand in 2025, even using ChatGPT, how to ask those questions, how to go through the branding roadmap, and all those things. We'll be breaking them down in the next episode. So make sure you look out for that as well.
Yeah. And I was just going to say that, I mean, sleepless nights just like over here, just because doing a brain dump with chat, because it's become a personal library in a sense, right? And it helps out a lot. But anyway, so I want to say this though. So I think that what we covered was mainly the mind shift, and that we've come to an agreement of like, hey, work smarter, not harder. But in order to work smart, you start off putting in the work to be able to get to a place where you can work smart by using these tools and everything that can help you with your process.
So if this episode helped you, go ahead and let us know down in the comments. Also, let us know what your key takeaways were and what you want to see or what you want to learn next.
Also, make sure that you download the free branding roadmap that we have below, along with all the tools that we talked about in this episode. So you guys make sure that you start creating smarter and not harder. Y'all, I think this was like a super amazing episode.
It was great, man. This one is special.
Yeah.
For sure.
So make sure you guys subscribe, leave some questions below. Let us know if this has been helpful. But with that, I'm Denis Boateng.
I'm Freddie Wims.
Donielle Boateng. Peace.